volare, wow, wow, cantare, whoa.
I'm so looking forward to this trip. We were in Sicily once before, and it is the land of my grandparents. Both of them were from Sicily. And when we went there the last time, it was very nostalgic for me because I actually felt that I was home, which sounds bizarre because it's not my home, but it was the home of my ancestors. And I think it was a combination of, or probably the food. Sicily is filled with foods that I grew up with that many other Italian families did not. For instance, arancini and caponettina and something else that I can't think of at the moment. But so I'm looking forward to sites that we didn't get to see before, and also to the food, which again, it's a food that I grew up with. So it gives me a very warm feeling in my heart.
Well, as you can see, our bags are packed and we're ready to go, waiting for the driver to take us to the airport. We'll be flying to Rome and then getting on a short flight to go to Palermo, where we're going to be starting a beautiful 2-week tour of Sicily. And by means of this little show and our video, we're going to share our trip with you. So sit back and get ready to go to Sicily.
You guys okay? You need help? Hi there, my name is Eddie. I work for Delta JFK, world's #1 airline. I'd like to say hello and have a nice trip to our new friends from Smithtown, Long Island. Have a wonderful trip in Sicily. Come back and see us again. Thank you.
Well, now I know why they tell you to get to the airport 3 hours early. It's a half mile from the security checkpoint to the gate. Took us a good 15 minutes to walk it, but we're here. We left home yesterday for the airport at 3 p.m. We're finally in Palermo at our hotel at 4:30 in the afternoon on the next day. It took us 2 separate flights and some layovers, but we're here. And as you can see, the hotel is really, really nice. This hotel is centrally located right in the heart of the best area of Palermo, and it's close to all of the important sites in the city. While the hotel is small, it is absolutely gorgeous. It's on Via Niccolo Gallo, which is the street you're seeing here, and it's located on a corner with Via Ruggiero Settimo, which is one of the main streets in the city, or turns into one of the main streets. Here you can see how they park their cars just about anywhere. There's the hotel again. The next morning we had breakfast in the Osservatorio on the top floor of the hotel. It's a glass-walled restaurant that is absolutely top-notch. After breakfast, we venture out into the streets to see what the city holds. After a few steps, we turn around a corner, we pass by these beautiful buildings, and we find ourselves in the Piazza Ruggiero Settimo, which is the main plaza of the city of Palermo. The building on your right that we just saw was the Teatro Politeama, which is the home of the Palermo Symphony Orchestra. It's a gorgeous building. Look at those statues on the top. We're going to see this in greater detail later on. One of the things that's discouraging to me is the amount of graffiti that you see. And here we are going to the Palermo street food market. This is how Sicilians shop. You want to know why their food is so good? It's all fresh. Signora, come si chiama?
Fighi d'India.
Fighi d'India.
Tutto originale.
Grazie mille. This is my good friend Vince. I don't know what the heck he's eating, but it's seafood of some kind. Looks like octopus, and he's also got a little bit of squid. If you love seafood, you gotta love Sicily. They have the best. This lady is making mozzarella. She's stirring it up, and here we have the very popular pig head. They also sell all kinds of goods in this market. Here are some of the beautiful Sicilian-style textiles that are just gorgeous. And you can find pocketbooks and just about anything you need. This vendor is selling shoes of all kinds. And then you come to the end of this complex street market and enter a very, very quiet and beautiful church. And like all churches in Sicily, it's a museum in itself. The architecture is spectacular. The painting, the dome, the chandeliers, the columns, filled with magnificent art. And here it is side by side with a very noisy street market. But it does make you wonder, why don't they repaint and fix it up? After seeing the church, we went back to the street fair where we had some delicious arancini and pizza, and we headed back to our hotel to take a short rest before our afternoon trip to the beautiful Teatro Palermo Garibaldi. Built in 1893, this magnificent building has been left by the Palermitanos to just fade away. There's peeling paint and minor repairs that need to be done all over the place. But nevertheless, it's still the comfortable home to the Palermo Philharmonic Orchestra. By now, more friends have arrived for our group tour. We came in a day early. They're going to join me for our little tour of the Teatro Palermo Garibaldi.
In alto, sotto della volta, con coronato dal sole, colui che appunto è il dio dell'arte divina, che è appunto la musica.
Entering the main auditorium, you're stunned by the plushness of it all, so much red velvet everywhere. The box seats are very expensive, as well as the orchestra seats. Up above, there are 4,000 much cheaper gallery seats, which add to the orchestra and box seats for a total of 5,000 seats. That noise in the background is the gentleman tuning his timpani. Here you can see some damage from water that has not been repaired. That statue is of Giuseppe Garibaldi, to whom the theater is dedicated. He was the person who unified Italy in the 1860s. This is the magnificent dome above the auditorium, and the overall impression is one of grandeur and splendor. Here's another close-up of the gallery seats, which are made out of wood rather than plush. And here we have one of the two smaller side rooms. This is a gaslight chandelier, which was absolutely magnificent in its day. And this is for a room for a smaller concert. You can see the beautiful floorwork here, too. Our guide then takes us outside to the terrace and colonnade that surrounds the building. And here we can see a detail of the statues that are on the entrance. We also see the city streets and have a great view of the Piazza Ruggiero Sicily. Then it's back to the hotel again. We're going to meet up with more friends who've been arriving for the tour. In total, we have 20 people on this very small private tour of Sicily, and most of them are people that we all know. Then we all go out to dinner as a group, where we meet our tour guide, Stefania, and head to bed to get ready for the official start of the tour tomorrow morning. The next morning, we're up bright and early and on the tour bus. The traffic in Palermo is ridiculous. As you can see, the streets are very, very narrow, and there are a lot of cars. Not too many street lights either. There's a lot of turnarounds and stop signs, and it's amazing that the Sicilians can drive in these conditions and still be very polite. We're on our way to the Cappella Palatina and then to the Cathedral of Monreale. We enter through the ancient gates of the Palazzo Normani. At one time or another, Sicily was under the control of the Greeks, the Romans, the Arabs, the Normans, the French, and now, of course, it's officially part of Italy. This is the magnificent courtyard and colonnade of the Palazzo Normani. The Cappella Palatina was the private chapel of the Norman kings, and it had fallen into disrepair until a German billionaire donated the money to rebuild the magnificent medieval chapel. Entering the chapel, you're just amazed by the brilliance and the amount of the mosaics that cover every square inch of this chapel. It's been brilliantly restored. The chapel itself was built in 1132 by Roger II, the Norman king who was brilliant enough to be tolerant of all cultures of Sicily, and as a result reflects the architectural styles of both Byzantine, Norman, and Muslim cultures. Even the doorways are just absolutely chock full of details. The colors are brilliant. Here's a mosaic of Christ, which dominates the whole chapel and sits above the main altar. Below him we have saints, and in the corner we have some Greek writing covering the mosaic of one of the saints. Some angels that surround the altarway. And here is the depiction of the Nativity. The swaddled Christ is supposed to symbolize that he was born to die. The floors are very Arabic, as you can see. The detail is incredible. The ceiling is one of the most incredibly detailed and difficult to construct that I've ever seen. Very Arabic in its style. Then we're back on the bus and on our way to the Cathedral of Monreale, perhaps the most iconic symbol of Palermo and Sicily itself. But before we get there, let's see what some of our fellow travelers think about Palermo.
Hi, my name is Chris. I absolutely loved Palermo. It was beautiful. It reminded me of old New York. The Brooklyn area, it was very real, but beautiful, beautiful old cobblestone streets, which are murder for your knees, by the way. But other than that, it was absolutely fantastic.
Hi, Robert Musso. My grandparents were born in Palermo. I've never been back to Sicily, and I'm having a wonderful time. Yesterday we went to Santa Margherita Belice, where we saw the chapel where my grandparents were married, where there was an earthquake in '68. And we spent the whole day with relatives. It was touch of family. It was a familia day. Thanks, Dave.
My name is Vince, and I love Palermo because of its fantastic pizza and arancina. And I love the mountains, and I love all the beautiful views. I'll go back again someday.
The Cathedral of Monreale is a national monument of Italy and one of the most important attractions of Sicily. The cathedral is magnificent, and there are other buildings, including a well-preserved cloister. Built by King William the Good in 1174, legend has it that he fell asleep under a tree while hunting near Monreale and had a vision of the Virgin Mary, who told him to build a church there. After removing the tree, he discovered a treasure, and he used the gold coins to build the church. Historians, however, say it's more likely William was driven by the desire to live up to the achievements of his grandfather, King Roger II, who built the Cappella Palatina we have already seen. Like the Cappella Palatina, Monreale is a mixture of many architectural influences, and it bears witness to the peaceful and fruitful coexistence of Muslims, Byzantines, Jews, Lombards, Greeks, and French under the rule of the Normans. The Normans, by the way, were Vikings who had settled in Gaul. They became Christians and founded Normandy. They conquered Sicily and ruled for hundreds of years. The most outstanding feature of the interior are the gold mosaics that cover the walls. They were made with an estimated 4,850 pounds of gold. Gold foil was placed between two layers of glass and then heated to fuse them together. They were created by Venetian artists. Craftsmen from many different cultures were used to build the church, which was ironically designed by Islamic architects using Byzantine and other styles. The mosaics tell the story of the Old Testament, the life of Christ, and the lives of the apostles. Here we see the story of Adam and Eve. This mosaic depicts Christ driving the moneylenders from the temple. This one shows him asking, "Who here is free from sin? They can cast the first stone." Monreale is not to be missed on any trip to Sicily. We're back on the bus, going back to our hotel in Palermo, And here are some views of metropolitan Palermo. As you can see, it's a very nice city. And before we get back, let's hear from some more of our travelers.
My name is Joanne.
My name is Justine.
I came to Sicily because I'd like to find out a little bit more about my maternal grandfather and where his family came from, which I was fortunate to find out. And we are of European, Western European descent, and they spoke Latin at the time.
I came to Sicily because I love to travel and see different parts of different countries. I also love to learn about other cultures.
Buongiorno. My name is Carol. I'm from New York, and this is my first time in Sicily. I had heard that it was very beautiful and had never been here and wanted to. When I learned that my sister and her friends were going, I tagged along. I'm surprised at how cosmopolitan it is. The city itself, much larger than I expected. I expected to be more rural, rustic. What I found, I've not been to Greece, and the country itself makes me think this might be what Greece is somewhat like.
I think your instincts are right, Carol, because this morning we're traveling into the provincia of Trapani to go to the Greek ruins at Segesta. We're traveling along the coastal road. You can see the Mediterranean Sea and also some of the mountains. It's very mountainous country, Sicily, very rugged in some parts. And it seems like most of the villages are built on the top of these mountains. We finally get off the bus, travel up a path by natural agave and wild olive trees, up an ancient pathway, and we come to the Greek ruin of Segesta. This is a ruin of the Agora, or the marketplace. They say Segesta was founded by Trojans who had fled Troy after the Trojan War. They built this town on a hill overlooking the Bay of Castellamare. This is the fabulous Greek theater. These are the actual ancient stones from 3,000 years ago, even though they did build a new platform below. And that's because they still have live performances here. You can see the countryside, and in the distance there beyond the mountains is the Bay of Castellamare. Here's some more of the magnificent Greek theater. Can you imagine the performances they had here 3,000 years ago? Of course, that chair is not 3,000 years old. Greek theater was extremely important for political, social, and religious reasons. And now we go back on an ancient pathway to the Temple of Aphrodite, which is a few steps from the Greek theater. It comes into our view, and it's magnificent. To think that this is 3,000 years old. They say there are more well-preserved Greek ruins in Sicily than there are in Greece. This temple was dedicated to Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and it is said that they practiced ritual prostitution in which young women, thousands of them, would sell their bodies to sailors as they arrived from various ports, and the proceeds would go to support the temple. The practice was banned in 400 AD. We say goodbye to Segesta, hop on the bus, and start climbing higher and higher into the mountains of Sicily. We're on our way to Erice, a beautiful medieval town. We enter through the main portal of the city and into the main piazza with the campanile and the church. This is a beautiful town. The temperature is at least 5 to 10 degrees colder up here. And for that reason, many wealthy Sicilians will buy apartments or homes up here in Erice to stay for the warm summer months. In fact, last summer, it got to be 120 degrees in Sicily. Some of these beautiful medieval streets. And as I said, they still live here. This building is now used as a scientific convention hall. Twice a year they have scientific conventions. Another beautiful little street. And they actually fit their cars in here. And here's some shots of Erice, the ancient walls. What a door knocker, huh? No need for air conditioning here. This is a very beautiful home with a little courtyard. This is the entrance to their park, the public park. It's beautiful. And in Erice, obbligo di baciarsi. You must kiss. This photo of Paula and me shows you how high up in the mountains we really are. Then we're back on the bus, going back for our last night in Palermo. We decide that we're going to go down to the Strada Pedonale, which is a pedestrian street that's been blocked off from all traffic. In the late afternoon and the early evening, the Italians and Sicilians love to do the passeggiata, which is the walk up and down the street. This part of the street has mostly shops, but we're going to go to this area, which is near the Teatro Massimo, the Grand Opera Hall. All of the action is here in this piazza. We've got people eating outdoors. We've got street musicians playing wonderful tunes. It's just a great place with so much life. We have our last meal here, and it's a wonderful, wonderful dinner. Tomorrow, we'll be heading to Syracuse. Well, now that we're comfortably back in our hotel room in the city of Palermo, let's take a moment to look at a map of Sicily. You can see it's roughly a triangle with 3 different capes, the Palermo, the Pesaro, and the Lilibeo. And it's also a very mountainous island. The ancient Greeks called it Trinacria, which means 3-pointed. And now the symbol of Sicily is called the Trinacria. And the Trinacria, you'll find this in shops all over Sicily. It's a 3-legged symbol with the head of Medusa in the middle. There are also some sheaves of wheat. And each item has symbolic meaning. The legs, which are female, are symbolic of each of the points of the island. The sheaves of wheat symbolize the agricultural nature of it. And the Medusa head is a good luck symbol to keep away evil. Tune in to our next show to see more of this wonderful island.